All right, guys, welcome back into the channel here. We're going to be talking about the hookers this week, and obviously with the week off actual NRL footy with just the Origin on the Sunday, we've got some time to really delve into all the different types of players that we have available in our hooking position and also all the other positions going forward. So we're going to start with the hook position today, and a few guys that a bunch of us would have. We'll start with them, and that's really Brayley. We've spoke about him in a fairly deep detail, just around his slide over the last bunch of weeks and we'll jump in and talk about him. He's actually almost a similar price to his brother Blake now, who hasn't really had a great season at all. So, when you look at how good he was at the start of the season, you look at the last bunch, it becomes a bit of an issue, right? 45, 39, 42, 52, and 36. And the question is that enough weeks in a row for that to be too many? And my thoughts around it are he's dropped off, obviously, majority of his kicking, which he was kicking a little bit earlier on in the year. His meters gained has been a lot lower, so therefore his tackle breaks and offloads. There's no tries or try assists, recently apart from round 12, and even then he had a 39 game. But what we look at here is that last two games he only had one missed tackle, which was good, back to kind of what he was doing at the start of the season, with the 0 and 1, and even with those, just the one missed tackle, he still ends up with 36 points. So someone I think that you can take out of your top sort of 5 hookers at this stage, but there's obviously a bunch of that are going to be higher ranked than him, which I've ranked a few of them there, 1 to 5 there on the right. But the question is, do you have enough trades to remove him? He's averaging the second highest out of any hooker at the moment at 60.5, but obviously not over the last 5 there. If you think he can get back to some level of decent scoring, whether that be, for him, if it's anything over 50, if you're looking at 53, 55, somewhere around there, then I think it's worth it, because other than Mane, there's no one here averaging more than 57. You got Hunt and Cook at that 57 mark. So I feel like to hold the trade, I think it'd be worth him, keeping him if you can get him for 53, 54. And the other thing to think about here, I've got Hodgson highlighted there, and he's the only one that's going to be playing in round 17. So that's something to think about as well. Can't believe I've got Josh Hodgson in a close to a guns video, but he is averaging 50. So something to think about there with him. But Brayley, I think for him and Watson, if you think they're both going to average a lot less than, so Brayley 53, I'd say anything less than that, and Watson anything less than sort of 48, I think you can trade both of them. And anything higher than that, I think it should be worth holding them. In terms of our number 1 ranked hooker, and the person I'd be targeting personally would be Reid Mane. So averaging 62, and that included him scoring a lot higher at the start of the year, and coming back to sort of the mean there, but that's including a bunch of 55 scores and stuff like that. So in terms of that, he's going to be your number 1 choice, and I think you should be targeting him post obviously Origin round 3, where there's a chance he does make that team, but there's also a chance he is not back in time for that Origin game, and should be ready to go for that round 18 or 19. And will he be in good enough shape to be able to play and score really well? We're not exactly sure, but I imagine having him being the 5 points better than any other score at the moment. Obviously, Brayley at 60, but he hasn't been doing that well. I think he's definitely your number 1 choice. Number 2 on my list will be Benny Hunt. So he has the dual position, and that's going to be the most important part about this one. With picking him over Ben Hunt, for example, over Damien Cook. At 717k, it doesn't really change too much with their price point. So 18k different to Damo, but you look at what this average entails, and it does entail an 18 where he was hurt, and then games since then. A 33 when he was hurt, an 8 where he's like broken leg the whole game, and then 18 in his return game. So he was a little bit worried about the leg. A few less kick meters, 11 missed tackles, so a bit of an anomaly with that one. Just wasn't confident. It didn't look like. So if you take out those 2 games, he's averaging way over 60, right? So is that a player that you want at dual position? Owned by a decent amount of people in the top 5k now, 30%, but so not exactly a pod, but someone who's scoring amazingly. You've got 80, a 70, a 79, and a 69 in the last 5 games. So 4 really, really top scores to go along with a 71, an 80, and a 64 across the rest of the season. So he's definitely your number 2 choice, and he'd be very, very close to pipping Mane for the number 1 choice in my eyes, just for the fact that he is on a better run than what Mane is. The reason why Mane's price is 661 is because he started so hot, and then he's dropped a fair bit the last bunch of weeks, which is the same as Brayley there at 60.5 average, but priced at like a just under 50 average there. So Hunt's on the way up with that big bunch of scores is why he's priced so high. So think of it, that rolling 5-week average is how they base that price on. And yeah, you can see that with cash cows, if they had 3 to 5 weeks good weeks in a row, or they're going to be great and make a lot of cash. If they have 1 or 2 bad weeks in that 5, even though they score well in the others, their average drops, which means their price doesn't hit the heights that you'd want it to be. So that's that with those two. I think are very similar options, with Hunt being that 50k cheaper, 50k more expensive. In terms of Damo Cook, he's lost a bit over 130k, and for me, this is, I think, what he's going to score the rest of the year. And pretty crazy to think that he hasn't really had a great year in NRL terms. Obviously, had a great Origin 1, but hasn't played exactly well for the Bunnies this year. He's been solid, but not the Cook we're used to. So for me, this is kind of going to be his floor. I think a 57, obviously with the ups and downs, the odd 30 odd, the odd 80. But he has a chance to go back to a 60 odd point scorer. My only qualm with the hooking position this year is how bad it's been. Usually in the past years, you've had multiple gun hookers in your squad that you're looking to have. 2 to 3 at the end. It was McInnes, it was Cam Smith, it was Api Coruscant. All these 3 guys last year were the top guys, and Damo Cook, obviously, the top 4 guys that you'd almost wanted all of them in your squad, and just no one's really averaging over 60. And the 2 that are one's on a big slide and one's injured. So pretty full on how that's working at the moment. But I think Cook has a little bit of upside possibility. Upside possibility. But other than that, I think he's going to get 57 and could be a third best option there behind those 2. Number 4, I think, is Macca, just a super consistent player in this squad, and he's going to be playing Origin. And is that an issue this week? No, he's a durable kind of player, so I wouldn't be stressed about him not returning. That's kind of the other thing with this first round, in between round 15 and 16 Origin. They do have a week off, getting back into the next week. So it'd only be if they happen to get injured that any of this should change going forward. Max is going to be definitely consistent. The only reason I put him over Smithy is just that, will they change his role? Will they move him back into the middle at all? Will Grant end up starting for the rest of the year? Will they keep it as it is? If they keep it as it is, then he's going to do well. But just his price point at the moment, 740k. He's obviously had an amazing last 5-6 games, and that's why he's priced at a little bit over his 55, about his 55 average there. So keep that in mind when you're picking Smithy. It's just a little bit too high, I think, on his price point, and I'm not sure if he continues to average sort of the 55, 65 to 65 that he's averaging right now. So that's my thoughts on Smithy. Just probably just a little bit more expensive. You can get Macca for 100k cheaper for a 56 average, where Smithy has the chance to average around 60, but could be down at like a 50 in that kind of range. So keep that in mind for those 2 guys. And our last 2 there is Api Coruscant, and he shouldn't average 46 for the rest of the year. He does have the opportunity to have some really big games in there, but I think, like you saw on the weekend with his really, really low score, that I think there's going to be a bit of an issue for him to score completely consistently. They're in a team that is completely dominated by the outside men. You got Isaiah Yeo doing his thing in the middle with Appy, and then you've got Cleary and Luai on the right and left there, spreading it out to the edges and scoring so well. So he doesn't have to do as much as previous years, I don't think. They really built the team around him, I think, last year, him and Cleary. And this year they've just got, everyone's grown another year and they're all a lot better. So I don't think he has to do as much. And he's not someone that's, apart from last year, not someone that's going to sit there and get you 50, 55 tackles every game. But they don't need to, because they're hardly going to be defending as they're scoring so well. The last one, and a slightly interesting option, is Joshy Hodgson. So I put him in the highlight there just because he does play in round 17, which is really cool. Obviously, the only hooker that does that, and that could be helpful for anyone looking to get closer to a 17 on the park, which I know a lot of people won't be. But some solid scores in the top there, a couple of 50s, a 70. But since returning, he's gone 63, 59, and 62. And there's a couple of games there with 65 minutes. So this time here, one 65-minute game and 2 80 minutes, but obviously attacking stats in all of them. So try, assist, and a try. In that one there, we've got a 51 tackle game, a 41 tackle game for limited misses, running the ball, a few kicks there. So I think these 3 are outlier games. If we look at previous years, he's not someone that's ever really got 50, 50, 57. These are 2019 now, I should say. Sorry. Not very good scores at all in 2020, and just some random games in 2019 where he had a bit of a nice run at the back end of the year, but he's not someone that traditionally averages really well in fantasy. So at this point, if you're getting him at 612k, you're getting him at a tick just under 50 for his average, price to his average. But obviously a big pod, but I don't think he's going to be the best option going forward. I'd rather hold one of the better hookers and take the L, take the miss opportunity, player opportunity in round 17 and go from there. So guys, let me know what you think about all the hooking position, and if you'd rank this any differently, or if you have some different thoughts on a bunch of these players. The majority of any of these guys, other than Watson and Brayley, are definite holds or potential buys. But yeah, Brayley and Watson, just work out if you think you work out yourself if you think they're going to be worth keeping in your side. If you're sitting with very low amount of trades, 6-7 trades, I think you probably just have to keep them and save yourself for injuries or some other upgrades, because these are going to be minor upgrades, especially a Watson. He's obviously not a keeper, but he's priced low enough that you can go, he's worth being like a 16th or 17th man in my squad. But there you go, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Again, what you took out of it, and also please hit like and subscribe. It's the best way to support me. Appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one, team. Have a good one.